Someone just died. No ambulance, no funeral home, no mortician, just a body. In your house, getting worse by the hour. So, what do you actually do? Before the 1800s, every single family on Earth had to answer that question themselves. And some of their answers were absolutely terrifying. Here's something nobody tells you. Funeral homes have only existed for about 150 years. That's it. But humans have been dying for 300,000 years. So, for the vast majority of human history, every culture, every civilization, every family had to figure out death completely on their own. No professionals, no cold storage, no embalming fluid, just people. And a problem that couldn't wait. Let's go back to early 19th century America, though this was true almost anywhere in the world. Someone dies. What happens next? The women of the household take over. They wash the body, dress it, lay it flat on a board or table in the front parlor of the house. You know what we call that room today? The living room. That name exists because people literally wanted to reclaim it from death. The original name was the death parlor, and they had to move fast. No refrigeration meant the clock was ticking hard. In warm months, a body could become unmanageable within 24 hours. Burial usually happened within a day or two, maximum. Friends and neighbors would come to help, bring food, sit with the family. This gathering was called a wake. And that word choice was not an accident, because back then, people were genuinely deeply terrified of one thing: being buried alive. Premature burial wasn't just a phobia, it was a real documented problem. Cholera, catalepsy, and other illnesses could mimic death so convincingly that people were sometimes declared dead when they weren't. So the wake was literally keeping watch, staying awake with the body to make sure it didn't wake up. Some wealthy people went further. They paid for what were called safety coffins. Coffins with a string attached to the corpse's hand running up through a pipe to a bell above ground. If you woke up underground, you rang the bell. That's where the phrase "saved by the bell" may have come from. And yes, people were hired to sit in graveyards at night and listen for bells. That job? Graveyard shift. Then came the American Civil War, and everything changed. For the first time, hundreds of thousands of soldiers were dying far from home. Families wanted bodies returned, but a body transported by train in July heat? That wasn't going to work. Enter embalming. A doctor named Thomas Holmes figured out how to replace blood with an arsenic-based preservative. He embalmed over 4,000 soldiers during the war, charging $100 each. That's roughly $3,500 in today's money, per body. But the moment that truly made embalming mainstream: Abraham Lincoln. When Lincoln was assassinated in April 1865, his embalmed body was loaded onto a train and taken on a 1,700-mile journey across 13 states, over 13 days. Millions of people lined the tracks, waited in lines for hours just to see him. And what they saw was a president who still looked like himself, preserved, peaceful, recognizable. The public was stunned. And suddenly, everyone wanted that for their loved ones too. Within a generation, the undertaker was born as a proper profession. And here's the strange part. The first undertakers weren't medical people at all. They were furniture makers, because furniture makers already built coffins, and livery stable owners because they had the horses for the hearse. They gradually took over washing, dressing, embalming, and organizing everything. By the early 1900s, the funeral home was a fixture of every town in America. Death had been professionalized, moved out of the home, out of the parlor. And families breathed a quiet, strange relief because they no longer had to do the hardest thing themselves. So the next time you sit down in your living room, just know that for most of human history, that room had a very different purpose. Death used to be handled by the people who loved you most. Raw, fast, and deeply personal. And weirdly, that might have been the more human way to do it. If you want to go deeper, next time we're covering what it's actually like to be a black market surgeon. Yeah, it gets worse. Subscribe so you don't miss it.